Get the you-know-what out of here. He's not
Well,
going to become available.
because the veteran is not the route they're going to go. They're going to do just like they did to Carson Wentz here. They're going to do everything humanly possible to go up in the draft and get one of those two quarterbacks. Who knows? Who, for a couple of reasons, Jody. And there might be another name in the mix by that point as well, because next year is supposed to be a very good quarterback draft, very early in the process. But so say you got to get up, it's really difficult to get up to 1 or 2, and they got up to 2 with Carson Wentz. They started at 13. Remember.
You got your Mac guys, McMullen and McDonald here with you on Birds 365. First hour in the books, second hour yet to come, including our buddy Jeff Kerr from CBS Sports joining us. And yeah, we're going to bust Jeff's chops a little bit because CBS was the one who got Miles Sanders to go on record and say, oh, it's like playing on an all-star team. Sorry, Miles, you got to know your Philadelphia history before you put a quote like that out there. And also, and it wasn't Jeff Kerr who wrote the article. It was another one of CBS Sports NFL writers who did so, but put together a top 10 list of cornerbacks in the NFL. And we're not begrudging him the lists because we do lists here on Birds 365 and others do. John's got his Sports Illustrated top 25 Eagles list that he's putting out with Eddie Kratz over on their site. So everybody does lists at this time of year. We just think they shortchanged an Eagle individual, and we're going to blame Carr for it because he's a CBS guy. And they came up with the lists and dissed big play Slay. So we'll have some fun with that coming up in a bit. But the Miles Sanders quote, yeah, it really has nothing to do with the Eagles were what they were that year. Do I think that because Vince Young raised the bar and put more pressure on the Eagles, that's why they had as bad a season as they did that year, underachieving season? No, I just think they were a lesser squad. Vince Young overstated it. I don't think it had a direct effect on the game. I just think he was wrong. I think he overstated how good that team was before that season started. There are some people that kind of agree with Miles Sanders. I don't know that I would go all-star team, but Peter King, even though he's not writing, he's on vacation, did on Twitter, put out that he thinks the Eagles are a top 4 team in the NFC. So Miles is not alone here, J-Mac, that think that this can be a very good year for the Philadelphia Eagles. Here's my question for you. What is Miles Sanders going to have to do with it? Last year of a contract. The Eagles right now have 4 backs in camp, one of which undrafted free agent. But 2 guys who were here last year. Howard has not come back. They did not upgrade the running back position. And I'm sorry, adding an undrafted free agent. If it turns out to be an upgrade, more power to him. But I don't think we can call it that right now. What kind of season is Miles Sanders looking at this year?
Well, before I get into that, and I've been talking about that a lot because I've gotten the pendulum effect. I think Eagles fans overrated him drastically after his rookie season. Now I think they're being too hard on him going into the final season of his rookie contract. But before I get to that, his quote, and you can read this at JAKIBsports.com, was, "We all feel like we're on an all-star team, so we feel great." He's talking about the offense after adding A.J. Brown. "We feel unstoppable, I'm not going to lie." And that's what everybody runs with. He did say after that, which everybody forgets, but we've got to see. It's going to come down to camp, taking it day by day, putting everything together. So he did put the caveat on it, like essentially saying we look good on paper, but that doesn't mean anything. But we know how these things work, and that's what we're going to rip Jeff Kerr about. And everybody runs with the first part of it and doesn't put the context on it, which doesn't matter.
And, I'm not going to rip. It wasn't Kerr.
No, it's not
Kerr.
Even
at that, I'm only going to gently rip Kerr because, JM, you can't. The horse is out of the barn. You open up the barn door. There goes the horse down the pen. You go, yeah, but wait a minute. We got to wait and see. Well, no, the friggin' horse is running away. Once you go all-star, you've gone all-star. There's no reeling it back thereafter. If he said, listen, we've got to wait for camp. We've got to do our work. But we really do like the talent. Placing it one in front of the other does change the effect that it has. And he went all-star
well,
first and
my
then tried to
argument,
cover his rear end on the backside.
no, my argument, Jody, is look, I said yesterday on the show, this is going to blow up. This is going to, and I brought up Vince and Vince Young.
Yep.
First of all, and you and I agree,
Mm.
Vince Young had nothing to do with the 2011 Eagles underachieving. And the fact that anybody would take a backup quarterback's word for anything, because he was a backup quarterback at the time, backing up Michael Vick, that's your fault. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to that's your fault. If you're going to Miles Sanders and saying, oh, Miles Sanders said they're an all-star team. Well, Miles ain't an all-star. Jordan Mailata might be. Jason Kelsey, Lane Johnson, Dallas Goedert might be. A.J. Brown might be. You can maybe even push it down to Devontae Smith if you want to go really far. Miles is not in that group. So that's your fault. And again, I'm not talking about you, Jody, but if people out there are taking all this that seriously, and second of all, is the world we live in where there's a live microphone 10 feet away from all of us at all times with people's phones. And, this stuff is it. The guy's promoing a youth football camp in the Pittsburgh area. He's doing sort of a press junket this week and he's talking to a bunch of people. And you say stuff off the cuff. My point is, who cares? But to get back to Miles as a player, and I wrote this on JAKIBSports.com as well about a week ago, in that I don't know what people expect with this guy. I mean, they're expecting these antiquated 1,250-yard rushers. They don't exist anymore, which I keep telling people. Look at the numbers. They don't exist. Last year was Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb. That's it. That's the list. And they played 17 games, Jody, more games than ever before.
Right.
Now, the problem with Miles is he's got to stay healthy, right? If he plays 17 games, and that's, he hasn't been able to do that the past 2 seasons. Last year, project just his performance over 17 games, he would have been the 6th leading rusher in the NFL. Is that good enough? I think it's good enough. When he's out there, he's effective enough when he's out there. Point is, he's got to be out there. I'd love for him to get better as a pass catcher. Probably not going to happen. But you have Kenny Gainwell. I'd love to have him get better as a pass protector. Probably not going to happen because he's not going to be out there on 3rd down. So it's not going to be that big of a deal. And then the third part is, I'd like for him to take what's blocked for him a little bit more and instead of trying to hit the home run all the time. But on that third one, 5.5 yards a carry, I'll take that. So I don't know what people are expecting out of Miles Sanders, but he's a good running back, not a great running back. Always has been, probably always will be until his time is up.
But if we are dissecting and maybe a little overanalyzing what Miles said, he also did say he needs more opportunities. And your first response and my first response would be, Miles, if you're not dressed, you're not getting any opportunities. Yeah. If you're hurt, you don't get opportunities. So first things first, stay healthy for 17 games. I guarantee you get more opportunities because you're just going to be in the game. But even in the games that you are healthy for and have been healthy for before, he wants more opportunities. And John, I'm making a prediction here. The Eagles are going to lose some games this year. Right now, I think both you and I have them winning 10. So they're going to lose 7 games. Maybe they win 11, and then they only lose 6. We'll go with that for today's purposes. In those 6 games, how many times afterwards do you think outspoken Eagle Nation is going to say, well, we lost because we didn't run the football enough? After being the leading rushing football team in the NFL last year, we all assume the Eagles are going to run it less this year. When they lose, is that not going to be a major topic of conversation?
Well,
we got to run the ball more. Why did we run the ball more?
Time.
Why did we throw the ball as often as we did? I'm guaranteeing you minimum 5 out of 6, if not 6 out of 6 games that the Eagles lose this year. One of the main talking points afterwards is
no
going to be
question.
we didn't run the ball enough.
No question. There is a group of Philadelphia fans that we talk, not everybody, as you mentioned, and we're talking about it with the overly confident Eagles fans. There's a group that has not advanced past the 1980s, and all they want is to run the football. And on the other side, all they want is sacks on the defensive side. And they've never advanced towards that. They've never advanced past that. It's a completely different game. They want Buddy Ryan. They want that era of football. They want to run the football. Look, last year is the best you're ever going to get as a running game. That's it. And it had to do with the quarterback being the +1, as they call it, opening things up for the running backs who were good, not great. You have the great offensive line. You have the unbelievable yards per carry, the efficiency of the running game. That's as high as it's going in the modern NFL. And remember, even though the Eagles were number 1 ranked in the entire NFL when it comes to the ground game, they didn't want to be. They only did it because they had to, and they couldn't throw the ball. They don't want to be that. They don't want to be that. So the sooner you understand that, and again, I'm not talking about you, Jody, I'm talking to the fans. The sooner you understand it, what do they say about if you have a problem, you got to accept it first before you can solve it? The sooner you accept that, maybe you can get over that hump. They want to throw the football. But yeah, when they lose, especially if they lose ugly, and remember, you tend to lose games you're behind in, right, Jody? So part of it's baked into the fact, hey, if you're down 10 points, guess what? You got to throw the football in the fourth quarter.
Exactly.
Common sense. But yeah, everybody's going to say,
that's where Miles' quote is going to come into play. He's going to be able to say, yeah, see, I need more opportunities. That we don't run the football enough. I do believe that's the way it's going to go this year. I'm in lockstep with your analysis of what the Eagles will attempt to do, what they prefer to do, certainly going out and giving up what they gave up and signing the contract to A.J. Brown kind of dictates what they're going to do. They're going to try and throw the football more this year. And those who want to run the football are going to say, yeah, but it's the same quarterback. If the reason we were able to run the football so great last year was because we've got a quarterback who can run, yeah, he's still here. We've got a great offensive line. Guess what? They're all still back. Isaac's back. We should be a better offensive line this year than we were last year. Why the hell aren't we running the football? Oh, I can hear it, Johnny Mac.
Now, I don't have it in front of me, so I'll have to reread the interview. I'll try to do it during the break, but I think most of his opportunity talk, because he talked about this last year, was in relation to his injuries. He acknowledges he's got to be on the field. And, you know, I know he mentioned something about his broken hand. Look, there's certain injuries you can't prevent. If you break your hand, you break your hand. There are other injuries where he acknowledges he's got to do a better job. He's got to be on the field. He understands he has to be on the field. If he's on the field, he's going to get more opportunities. As far as the Eagles as a whole running the football more than they did last year, I mean, the odds are drastically against that. And if they do, that's a very bad sign. And if we go all the way back to the beginning of the show, Jody, if they do that and they're forced to do that, well, they're turning the page on Jalen Hurts, period. End of sentence. If they have to do that.
All right. Now I'm gonna hold your feet to the fire here since you went back there. I didn't take you back there. You went back there. Who's it gonna be, and how are they gonna get that done? I know it's a very difficult question. Shoot, it's an unfair question, but I'm gonna ask you to go there since you went there. I'm just guiding you and taking you there. If someone else other than Jalen Hurts is going to be the quarterback, how are they going to pull that off? Give me
they got it. At that point, to me, they would rather, and again, the hard part of that point is you don't know who's going to be available from a veteran perspective. but their preference is
Give me a name, and I'll tell you. Yeah, that's legit, John. Or get the what out of here. He's not going to become available
because the veteran is not the route they're going to go. They're going to do just like they did the Carson Wentz year. They're going to do everything humanly possible to go up in the draft and get one of those two quarterbacks. Who knows? Who, for a couple of reasons, Jody. And there might be another name in the mix by that point as well, because next year's is supposed to be a very good quarterback draft, very early in the process. But so say you got to get up, it's really difficult to get up to 1 or 2, and they got up to 2 with Carson Wentz. They started at 13. Remember that, Jody. And they went up twice to get up to 2. For 2 reasons. One, again, if you go out and get a proven veteran quarterback, you're going to have to pay him $40-50 million on top of what you have to do to get him.
Right.
If you draft a quarterback, it's still expensive as the first or second pick, but comparing to a veteran quarterback, it's a drop in the bucket. You have the 5th-year option. You can build up better around a young quarterback. So they will do everything possible to get Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, or quarterback number 3, the mystery door that jumps up in the draft. They will do everything possible to get in the top 10, top 5, wherever they got to do. Veteran players, draft picks, whatever they have to do to get that quarterback.
Here's what I will tell you now. Again, very prematurely, and I'll probably have egg on my face because of this. You better get into the top 3. Unlike this past year, which was absolutely the exception, not the rule, as Jimmy Kempski pointed out to us earlier, 1 quarterback taken in the first 2 rounds. Kenny Pickett, number 20, another quarterback not taken till the 3rd round. That's not happening again. Quarterbacks will be back in the neighborhood. They always are at the top of the draft. Young and Stroud will both be off the board in the first 2 or 3 picks. They'll probably go 1-2. They may go 1-3. You need to be up there. You got to be in the top 3. And if the Eagles find a way, even if it goes back, they got to run the football more than they pass the football. They're still going to win 9 or 10 games, John. That pick is not going to be all that good.
Yeah, but
and where you and I disagree,
I
think the Saints are going to be okay this year. I think they'll be right around a 500 team again. So you're talking about 2 mid-round, first-round draft picks. I don't think that gets you into the top 3.
Well, they've done it before. They started at 13 during the Carson Wentz year. They were able to take advantage of the Miami Dolphins, who they seem to do every few years. I believe they went up to 8 first, and then they went from 8 to 2. They're very inventive.
He better be at his most creative to be able to pull it off if both of the first round draft picks they have end up where I think they're going to end up.
Well, yeah, but then you're dismissing there's a kid from Stanford, I forget his name. There's the kid from Kentucky, Will Levis, I believe. There's another Anthony Richardson from Florida are some of the guys. You're going to have more than 2 quarterbacks in the top 10, Jody. More than 2 quarterbacks in the top 10 this year. Now, here's the problem from my perspective. You're going to have about 4 or 5 teams going heavy after those quarterbacks. So it's not only going to be you.
Right.
It's going to be other teams as well. But when I compare the Eagles and their maneuverability, they've proven they can get things done. Again, like Howie Roseman, dislike Howie Roseman, he has proven consistently he can get things done.
What I think the bigger problem is, and this is, again, very far out projection, doing some guessing here, I think the worst teams in the league are going to be the ones that need the quarterback.
Well, yeah, that's usually the way it is.
The dumpster fire that is the New York Giants. If they've got the 2nd pick of the draft, you think they're going to deal with the Eagles to let the Eagles get to 2? I don't think so. They're going to sit there and they're going to take quarterback.
No, you're right. And it's, if you're a mediocre team, it's probably going to be very difficult to get the top 2, which we think are going to be the top 2. And who knows what happens. And that's Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, or vice versa. So you're probably going to be more in the conversation. I got to look up that Stanford kid's name. Tanner McKee.
Right.
Will Levis, Anthony Richardson. You're probably going to be in the conversation more for those quarterbacks. But the year's got to play out. The college year's got to play out. But trust me, people are going to be excited about another quarterback beyond Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. So there's going to be options, and you can't keep. Even though the Eagles have done a wonderful job of this, you can't keep assuming we'll just kick the can the next year and we'll have the assets to go get somebody at that point. When you have the assets, you better use them. Now, the Eagles had the assets this year, and Jimmy pointed out, which I've gotten past this, and I'm glad he pointed it out. People don't realize the Eagles already tried to get better this offseason. They like to forget about it. They like you to forget about it. They want to put the Men in Black mind racing device up there, which worked on me, by the way, and that's why I'm glad Jimmy brought it up. They wanted Russell Wilson. They wanted Deshaun Watson. They would have drafted a quarterback probably if this year's draft had C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young and the kid from Stanford and Will Levis and everybody else. They probably already would have drafted a quarterback, and we'd be talking about that quarterback right now, Jody. They will act because they have the assets to act, and they know they're not always going to have those assets to act.
Yeah, I'm just afraid those assets might not be as valuable as we think they're going to be. The only thing that's going to put an actual value on them is how the season goes and where they have those picks in the first round, and the fact that there's a couple of teams. As much as the Eagles are not a lock going forward with their franchise quarterbacks, there are teams in much worse shape than the Eagles this year, and they're going to have a desperate need going forward. So they're going to need to hold on to those high first-round draft picks. Howie Roseman's going to have to make a very lopsided trade if he wants to get high enough to get one of those QBs. All right, Jeff Kerr from CBS Sports. Our bud is going to jump aboard next here with Mac and Mac on Birds 365.